So, all right. If we assume that X is an element of itself with X so defined, what is the contradiction? Well, if X is an element of itself, then X must be in here and therefore have the property that all of the elements has, namely not being in itself. And so it both is in itself as an element and not, so contradiction. And likewise, if we assume that it is not in itself, then it must not have this property, meaning that it, since it is not in it, then it is in it, right? So since it does not have this property, then it is inside of itself as an element, so we assumed that it is not an element of itself, and therefore it is, right? There's the contradiction again. So that's Russell's paradox. You see that it has exactly the same flavor as the liar paradox and the Barber paradox. So what is the resolution to this paradox? Well, it is restricting the way in which we get to quantify over sets. We do not permit ourselves to talk about the set of all sets, and therefore we just sort of freely say, take any set such that blah, blah, blah. And so that's what the axioms do for us, is they restrict the sorts of things that we are permitted to call sets. Now, that's the historic way that axiomatic set theory was developed. There are actually lots of other good reasons for developing any given subject axiomatically. And one of them we even find from the Euclidean axiomatization of geometry that identified the parallel postulate as the one that seemed sort of the least axiomatic in its nature, and therefore the one that we are most willing to play with, and we sort of famously, historically, got a lot of productive results from relaxing the fifth postulate, replacing it with other postulates. So that's one reason, is that by axiomatizing a system, you kind of focus your attention on things that could be otherwise, and sometimes get interesting, productive results by doing that. Now, another reason why axiomatization is valuable is again coming from the example of Euclidean axiomatization of geometry, which is that it just organizes your information. It gives you a good sort of structure to locate the various principles and make sure that you never are unaware of some kind of circularity in the reasoning. Even some philosophers actually, for some reason, believe that the axioms are true, so you might think that axiomatization is good for that reason too. Anyway, there's the project, and we'll start talking about the individual axioms in the next video.